Sometimes in our life journey, we are looking for people who identify or can identify with some of our life experiences because it helps us, get strength or and sometimes, clarity. So for example, if you're building a business, you more than likely would want to go to someone who's done it the way that you think you want to do it. Or you would seek out advice and wise counsel around a problem that you're experiencing in your business by an expert who solves that problem. So, what I really want my videos to do is to provide a resource for, people like me, which is why I'm going to try to be as transparent as I can. I don't I don't I don't want to be transparent, let's be clear. And the reason I'm saying that is because again, people have asked me for years to talk about my experiences and my story. And part of my experience and surviving it is telling myself that nothing I've been through is that big of a deal, right? That is how I survive. So having to communicate on any level about anything about me is very, very difficult. Today, I want to talk about a decision I made as a result of grief. So, if you follow the theme of this channel, I'm basically going to walk you through how I've navigated life as a result of grief. So, the hallmarks of grief, it looks like there are things you avoid because you can't stomach the feeling. One hallmark of grief is that grief comes and goes when it wants to. You might be having the perfect day and ran like a license plate or a scent will remind you of the person or the thing, the career, the money that you lost. Grief is not only applicable to the loss of people, it's the loss of people, places, things, time. I struggled with that for a long time. Like, I've spent so much time doing this thing, I can't quit now. And that's how I felt when I quit the PhD. But that's a whole nother story for another day. What I'm talking about today is I will take you back. I'm from America, so context. If you're in a different country watching this, um, I'm talking about those lived experiences. June 2015, Supreme Court rules same-sex marriage is now legal. And I don't know, some people, again, it depends on who you are, why you are, how you are, who you're around, not around. I, from my upbringing, was around a specific church body. I won't name them because it's not important. Um, church religions, affiliations in general have their own beliefs. And in this church, one of the associate ministers actually went up in the pulpit. I'm going to fly ahead to February 2019. Valentine's Day was coming up, and he said, "There's an event we want to put on for our married couples. Marriage is a marriage workshop, and there's two things that are really attacking God's marriage. One of them is divorce. The other is same-sex marriage." Now, again, I'm telling you, we're 4 years after same-sex marriage becomes legal, and I wanted to walk up to that man and say, "I don't want y'all straight women. I don't want them. Don't give me no straight woman. I ain't interested, okay? Show me the ones I already know they gay." All right. So, context for that is my coming out story. I was in a relationship with someone for 7 years who was in the closet. In the closet, meaning she wouldn't say that she was gay. She would say that she was a, sexual with me type of thing. Like, and it made no sense to me. But there are people who you happen to be attracted to, who you're attracted to. And then there are people who are just attracted to a gender, or they're attracted to a size of a person or the intellect of a person. Like, there's so many layers and differences. But her thing was she was just attracted to me. One day I asked her more questions and came to find out, like, actually, no, she had been attracted to like one or two other girls before me. She just had never acted on it. So we gotta be mindful of the stories we tell ourselves, right? But she was from another country that is homophobic. They have what's called the Dutty Law. I don't want to get into it. You can Google it for yourself. But her being from a place that criminalized homosexuality was alarming for me. Like, I didn't know this when I decided, like, okay, I'm gonna date her. What I was really diving off into, I'm gonna date her, was because same-sex marriage had been made legal, and I was already in conflict professionally. I was in a PhD program that I didn't want to be in. It was causing me great anxiety, depression. The reason why I was there was because I had committed to it. But prior to attending, I was physically assaulted by my master's advisor. And so I was later diagnosed with complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I had no idea that basically I had never stopped to process, acknowledge, accept my experiences, and learn how to navigate them and cope so that I could move on. So what I was doing, as most people do, is like you're just piling on the life hits, hit after hit, and you don't understand why. The random person in the store that's checking out, and the cashier makes an error, and the customer starts randomly yelling and shouting at them and blowing off, and it's like, what is going on here? Yeah, that was what it was like for me. It was I I wasn't shouting and screaming and stomping and fighting people, but my experiences were walking me into situations and environments where those people were existing and living, right? So back to the 7 year thing that I was in. She made a statement. We can be in state college, but nowhere else. So the translation is, here where my family is not, you and I are together. We're doing this thing. The second we step out of this zip code, we're back to we're friends. Where it caused conflict was her asking to go home to meet my family, her asking to be included in my family's holidays, her asking about my mom and what my mom is doing, all this stuff. And she's like, you never ask about my parents. They're not in the zip code, right? So, like, when you give me your parameters, your boundaries, that's what I existed. I'm very black and white. I'm working on it. But what I also didn't recognize that it did for her is probably cause conflict, because kind of like maybe if I had been more welcoming to her concept, maybe she wouldn't have been in such conflict because I was, kind of harsh about it, right? But that's neither here nor there. The point is, at the end of the 7 years, she moved to California. I went with her. I had asked her for a full 2 years because I'd left state college 2 years before that. I'd asked her for a full 2 years. What are we doing? What do you want to do? I am perfectly fine with us moving on and being friends and remaining friends. We'll act like this never happened, because I would value your friendship more than this entanglement that we're doing, this dance of something that we know is not going to be. She never answered the question. You know how some people just we got to learn that no answer is an answer. Silence is definitely an answer. Inaction is an answer. So we get to California, and her family starts calling. She gets settled in, this, and this, and then they're asking, like, well, when is she leaving? And I could feel the shift in her energy. she became, what did I mention about people, like a little hostile about my presence. I'm waking her up. I'm dirty. I'm this. I'm like, what is going on here? But later on, I thought about it. I was like, tell me something. Around what time did your family start asking when I was leaving? And when she told me, it correlated with when, she was starting to be basically passive aggressive. And I think the passive aggressiveness was really the end for me. It was like, I'm existing, right? I'm here. I'm not doing anything to you. I actually took the bedroom across the hall from you. I did not try to, sleep in the room. I just came because you said you wanted me to come. So I have removed myself from you. And even though I've removed myself and focused on my work, because at the time I started a new job, I finally reached six figures. And so I transitioned to digital marketing / digital analytics when I left my PhD program. So I'm finally reaching like where I think I want to be. And it also was a remote job. So I could have worked from anywhere. By the way, it was the second remote job in a row in this space. And I was not tied to moving with her. I literally was like, I will stay and be established where my family is, because I've been away from them since basically the age of 15. So when my sister died when I was 15, every summer I went away to Atlanta for internships in high school. Probably was, it was professional development, but it was also like a way to, my parents have this thing where even though you're grieving, you still have to do something. So it was a way of my parents like teaching me get up and do things even though you're grieving, because the not doing will result in depression. The not doing will result in anxiety because you know you should be doing something. So she didn't have any clear answers for me. And basically I had to finally make the decision and say, you know what? It's been nice. I'm out of here. And she basically was like, we had an argument over the toilet, da da da. It came to this. And I was like, yes, it came to this because I know who I am and how I am. I removed myself. I put myself in a closet. I put myself in a bedroom by myself. I put myself like that. Again, my sister is 8 years older than me. So she also was terminally ill my entire life. It is how I navigate the world. I am the baby in the back of the room that if I could save you, I would save you over me. Like that was my experience with the loss of my sister, my sister's passing. So I took that kind of navigation into an opportunity for me to try to find myself and just double down on internalizing, well, it's more so her story and her experience and her reality. Because when I came out to my family, they were like, we was waiting on you. Girl, we knew that. We didn't care. We were trying to figure out why you so secretive, acting like we know you. We can tell when you're unhappy, we can tell when you're sad, we can tell when you're whatever you are. And we're gonna love you anyway. So part of my coming out story is that I also internalized media. I internalized some of the public shaming that people were doing around people being gay and being able to marry the same sex. And because I internalized those messages, that's really what I was taking to the first therapist. The first therapist was like, we keep talking about this being gay thing. You've yet to sit down and have a conversation with your family and just say, hey, I'm gay, and wait on the response. And I said, well, I can't do it. And my therapist was like, well, why can't you? And I said, do you not see what people are saying? People are on my Facebook timeline. They're telling me I'm going to hell and all that. And she's like, and they're not your family. And if your family is saying it, who within your family is saying it? And how will you choose to navigate them? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you have a choice. The art of self-healing is recognizing where your choices lie. And having that conversation with my mom, like the level of anxiety I had before I had the conversation was the level of depression was, and the reason was because I was ruminating and internalizing. I was creating stories that were other people's reality instead of centering myself and going to have a conversation and determining what my actual reality was and then navigating that. In some ways, the I part of this is I was asking my former partner, you create a whole lot of like issue for us around you're never coming out, we can be just not in state college, type of whatever. And do you actually factually know that your parents are going to reject you? And she gave me her answer. She gave me examples of how it would be true. And I said, but you don't know that it's true. So you're creating an internal reality for yourself because you don't want to have a conversation. And I am not dismissing that there are LGBTQ people who are um, banished from their family, that they are disowned, that's not what I'm talking about. That is a very true reality. What I am talking about is the opportunities in which we have moments to free ourselves. Yes, if your family rejected you, it hurts, it sucks. It probably, again, I'm a huge empath because of said life experiences. It probably would send you into grief, loss, and not probably, it absolutely would send you into grief, loss, and transition. But on the other side of grief, loss, and transition, the pain of that is choosing how do you fix the feeling. And for me, the decision, oh God, is it 3 years? 3 years ago, in October, was choosing myself. you know, it's nice that you're living based on what your family believes. It's nice that you go get the career that you get because your family has told you that's the one that's highly esteemed. It's nice that you chose your degree because people told you if you get a degree in this field, you'll make a lot of money. Or it's nice that you decide to go to college because everybody told you you had to go to college in order to get a degree. And what I found was that as I unpacked what I was struggling with, the words of my second therapist, it was, who told you this? Who caused you to believe this? And I was like, what? And she was basically saying that all that outside of there that's going on, all of that noise out in the world is really creating the source of the anxiety, of our inability to take action on the things that we care about. And she said, basically, my journey with you will be you returning to yourself because we're not lost, right? We are all who we've been. I asked my mom recently because I'm working on communication and talking. That's why I'm doing these videos because I refuse to write. That's a whole nother story for another day. But basically, I asked her, I said, are you surprised by who I've become? And she said, no, you've always been this way. Even the different types of ways that you are that I tried to tell you, be less of that and be more of this, or quiet that down a little bit and don't do that right now. You've been it. You've been it. You've done it. And now you use it to navigate the world. And it's really just about accepting that that's who you are, how you are, and putting the systems in place for you to be able to thrive and live and not be so entrenched in the noise that's outside.